This episode of FineScale Modeler's new product rundown features Polar Light's big Klingon battle cruiser, Revell's Beaufighter, and Panda's M8 armored gun system.
New product rundown brought to you by Hobby Zone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard to find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs. And by Cult TV Man's Hobby Shop, the place to go to for science fiction and fantasy kits, details, masks, decals, and more.
Welcome to 2019 and another episode of New Product Rundown, the series that looks inside the boxes for the kits and accessories. I'm Mark Savage.
And I'm Elizabeth Nash. Aaron has been restricted to the FSM workshop until he finishes a few products for the magazine. So, welcome, Mark. It's the fun size episode. So we're going to start with a big kit from Polar Lights, a 1/350th scale Klingon K't'inga battle cruiser.
This is one of the primary warships in the Klingon fleet and was first seen on screen in Star Trek The Motion Picture in 1979.
While AMT has had a 537th scale kit in its catalog since the movie premiered, this one is more in scale with Polar Lights' Enterprises and AMT's Bird of Prey.
Molded in black plastic that will make lighting, more on that later, easier, the parts have sharp surface detail including the feather-like panels seen on the wings.
The full-span wings give a sense of size of the finished model. They are nearly 18 inches wide. The length will be about 2 feet.
The ball-shaped forward section builds from multiple parts with separate window strips. It attaches to an upper neck half and then to a one-piece lower section that looks like a spoon, although the bow torpedo bay is probably overkill at mealtime.
The wedge-shaped head has well-produced vents and equipment, as does the bridge. An optional resin replacement bridge provides refined detail in this prominent spot.
The warp nacelles are relatively simple affairs, with clear parts for the rear sections. Clear plastic is also used to back window openings, the impulse engines, running lights, the hangar deck, and more.
The hangar bay on the rear dorsal section builds from multiple parts with open slots at the front and nice vents on the sides.
The rear hull has impulse engines and torpedo launcher detail.
A ton of small parts detail the outside of the hull.
Decals and color diagrams give some decoration as well as insignia and Klingon text. All of the colors mentioned refer to testers' colors.
If you want to boost your K't'inga further, pick up a lighting set Polar Lights has produced.
It includes 26 pre-wired LEDs, a small circuit board, a battery holder, a set of PE parts to give more refined windows, and a set of red clear parts to replace the kit's torpedo launchers, impulse engines, some lights, and the grille on the dorsal deck.
For the most part, the plastic parts won't need to be modified, and many have molded holders for the wires or LEDs.
The exception is the window strips on the head that will need to be cut out for sharper edges. They indicate the strips slightly affect the model's accuracy.
The instructions are very clear, with a list of labeled LEDs that shows which step they should be installed, and a clear wiring diagram.
All of this should make it so easy that even Aaron,
the guy who once tried to electrocute himself with a desk lamp,
can do it. This should make anybody a great-looking Klingon battlecruiser.
Back on Earth, we have Revell's 1/48th scale Bristol Beaufighter.
The initial release of this all-new tool represents the torpedo-armed TF Mark X variant.
The surface detail includes fine recessed panel lines that appear to maintain consistency around the edges of the parts. Inside, the body halves are marked with molded structural frames with a few ejector pin marks that should be hidden by other parts.
Cockpit detail starts with molded controls inside the fuselage. Full-length floor, instrument panel with molded dials, controls, and pedals, side consoles, framing with more controls, seat, control stick, and wheel.
Behind the pilot is a wing spar, another spar with bulkhead and door, with inner wing panels, ammunition boxes, a seat for the gunner or observer, and its support, and optional rear bulkhead, or frame with molded equipment, although the instructions don't indicate which one is appropriate for the marking options. Elsewhere, however, optional parts, like the different tailwheel struts, and standard or radar noses are clearly called out by marking choices.
The wings comprise a full span lower half with the belly and underside of the nose, and separate upper halves. The ailerons are designed to be movable, and the flaps can be posed open or closed. The latter requires minor surgery.
Separate elevators are provided for both styles of horizontal stabilizer. One has larger elevators. Options are also given for the vertical stabilizer both with and without the fillet. The rudder is common to both.
Both engines include 2 full cylinder banks, intake manifold, and forward exhaust collector and cowl lip, with separate exhaust pipe, 3-part cowls, and optional open or closed cowl flaps. 2 styles of upper cowl intakes are provided. The 3-bladed props can be used as is or equipped with spinners.
2-part main wheels get sandwiched by complex multi-part gear legs. They fit into detailed gear bays in the nacelles, and the gear doors have structural detail inside. A torpedo can be hung below the plane. The windscreen is molded with part of the body forward and has sharp frames that should help during masking. Other clear parts include the gunner's cover as well as landing and wingtip lights.
Decals provide markings for 2 Royal Air Force Beaufighters, including one wearing D-Day invasion stripes.
There's plenty to like about Revell's new Beaufighter, including detail and options.
Plus, unused parts such as plates for rocket racks, instrument panels, antennas, and more indicate other versions may be coming.
Finally, let's take a look at Panda's 1/35th scale M8 armored gun system.
This started in the 1980s as a program to replace the M551 Sheridan with a more modern air-mobile light tank.
Designed by United Defense, the vehicle, which is armed with a 105mm gun, made its way all the way through evaluation and was ordered into production before the program was canceled in 1997.
6 prototypes were built, and there's still hope for a variation as BAE Systems, which owns United Defense.
This kit's hull includes nicely molded non-skid texture on the upper hull, good vents, and thin fender edges.
The running gear comprises small road wheel arms, shock absorbers, paired road wheels with separate tire, idlers, and drive sprockets. Individual link tracks finish the suspension and running gear.
Remaining hull detail includes a rear panel with separate hatch, a separate driver's hatch, mud flaps, lights, and more.
The turret has upper and lower sections, forward side panels, stowage racks, optics, and separate hatches, including a detailed commander's hatch with the vision blocks and a machine gun mount.
The main gun is molded in halves with a separate muzzle and simple mantlet.
Clear parts provide vision blocks, periscopes, sighting optics lenses, and lights. And a small photo-etched fret includes engine screens, tray for a machine gun's ammo box, and some small details.
A tiny decal sheet provides a few stencils, but the color diagrams show 3 marking ideas, including NATO 3 color, desert sand, and overall green.
This looks like a simple build that will fit into any American armor collection or a what-if diorama.
Look for build reviews of the M8, Beaufighter, and Klingon battlecruiser in upcoming issues of FineScale Modeler magazine.
And you can see more new products in our latest issue, the February issue of FineScale Modeler, or at FineScale.com.
And while you're there, check out the Kalmbach Hobby Store, where you can buy books, back issues, tools, and special issues, including Damaged. Thanks for watching. I'm Elizabeth Nash.
And I'm not Aaron Skinner.
Close enough.
Guys? Guys? Hello? Anybody? Hello? Anybody? Look, are we still playing Bird Box or what? Hello? Anybody? Hello?